Do you think the US is losing political capital in this part of the world?
Oh, I think in a significant way. The United States has been, well, for a long time, acting as the diplomatic shield for Israel, certainly at the United Nations Security Council and in many other parts of the world. And that was primarily the task that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken would have carried during the tour he made last weekend through the Middle East capitals. The U.S. Is obviously in a box position now because it is losing political capital through the many demonstrations we see throughout the world, through London, through Washington, through Toronto, through Paris, and certainly in the Arab world as well. We've seen massive demonstrations in Rabat, in Tunis, in Amman, in Baghdad with respect to this. I don't think there's been a situation in the world in the last several years where the United States' political capital has been dented so much as in its pretty solid defense of Israel throughout these operations over the last month.
Help me understand the pathway forward here for Gaza and the Palestinians. It's been reported that the Palestinian Authority will likely be invited to take over the administration of Gaza, but many Palestinians roll their eyes at the prospect.
They roll their eyes for several reasons. One, it's an extraordinary financial task, and I suspect in the short run, once there is a ceasefire, whether or not Hamas has been decapitated, it will require a massive international intervention, perhaps led by the United Nations, as it did 9 years ago after the 2014 war, to raise the money needed for the reconstruction of Gaza, to oversee the actual rebuilding of Gaza, not only its buildings, but also its infrastructure, its hospitals, its schools, and thirdly, to figure out and also to govern administratively Gaza for a set period of time to be able to provide the kind of government services that a municipal or national government would wind up providing. The Palestinian Authority obviously figures in this thinking, but I would think there's great reluctance among the leadership at the Palestinian Authority to want to be seen to be coming into Gaza at the back behind Israeli bayonets, and two, they don't want to be able to have to take over Gaza even after initial reconstruction has begun, unless there's a clear political path to a two-state solution. They want to see Gaza first, not Gaza last. And the timing, at least for the Americans, is extraordinarily difficult. Here, for the first time in his entire presidency, we see Joe Biden perhaps seriously raising the issue that there has to be a two-state solution after having the Middle East put in the back burner for the entire length of his presidency. And yet now he faces having to raise the issue of a two-state solution and try to lead a peace process on that in an election year where it's very clear that with this current Israeli government, but even with a new Israeli government, assuming that Benjamin Netanyahu does not survive politically over the next couple of months, there's no appetite at all among any of the political leaders who may take his place for any kind of genuine two-state solution for the Palestinians. So I'm an optimistic person, but I feel quite pessimistic, at least in the short and medium run, as to what this is going to yield.